Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are answering one of the biggest questions about KJSEA and grade 10 placement. How are KPSEA, school-based assessments, that is SBA, and KJSEA combined? Now you may have heard people talking about KJSEA 60, KPSEA 20 and SBS 20, but what does that actually mean? You see, that is what we are going to address. Does it mean that KNEC will take your child's KPSEA marks, add the grade 7 and grade 8 marks, and then add the KJSEA marks? Or does it mean that every school examination written in grade 7 and grade 8 will be included? Those are some of the things that we are going to be addressing. By the end of the video, you will understand what the 2020-60 formula means and how KPSEA and SBS and KJSEA are merged together to give your final results. Now I will start with how KJSEA contributes, so I will address one at a time, and I will start with KJSEA. Now I will talk about how grade 9 KNEC projects fit into the system also, and why the combined assessment results is not the only factor considered during senior school placement. Now, by the end of this video, you will understand what is the 2020-60 formula. You will also understand how KPSEA contributes. You will understand how the grade 7 and grade 8 SBAs contribute. You will understand how the KJSEA contributes, and you will understand how the grade 9 KNEC projects. We have these projects that are done in second term. We will understand how they fit into the system. We will also understand why the combined assessment results is not the only factor considered during senior school placement. Now let us begin with the most important point, the 3 parts of the assessment. Think of the learner's complete assessment profile as a container divided into 100 points. So first of all, let us understand that this is 100 points. That is the complete assessment profile. And the first 20 parts come from KPSEA. Then the second 20 come from SBS, and then the remaining 60 come from KJSEA in grade 9. KPSEA contributes 20%, and then the SBS contribute 20%, you see. Now when we add together the 20 and the 20 and the 60 from KJSEA, we get 100, you see, that is 100. This system is important because a learner's ability is not judged using only one examination written at the end of grade 9. I think this was very important. It was good to include the grade 6, the grade 7 and 8 assessments. The system considers evidence collected at different stages of the learner's education. It also looks at performance at the end of primary school. It looks at performance during grade 7 and grade 8, and then it gives the greatest weight to performance at the end of grade 9. Now the Ministry of Education describes this as a staggered assessment intended to provide a broader picture of learners' abilities and readiness for senior school. So they are looking at all the ability, what the student shows at the different sections of the education. Now let us examine each part separately. And part 1 is KPSEA, which contributes 20%. First of all, KPSEA means the Kenya Primary School Education Assessment, and learners sit for KPSEA at the end of grade 6. So when learners completed KPSEA, I remember that some parents believed the results would not matter, but you see, they do matter at the end of grade 9. This is because KPSEA was not used in the same way that KJSEA would be used. The fact that it is not used to determine where your child is going to JSS does not mean that it is not important, you see. Under the old system, I remember that the marks were everything, but here it is not the same. You see, KPSEA will not stop the learners from progressing to junior secondary school or going to JSS of their choice. Learners will continue to grade 7. However, that does not mean that KPSEA results will be thrown away. the learner's KPSEA performance is carried forward and it will contribute to 20% of the combined assessment profile used at the end of junior school. What does this mean? This means that what the learners did in grade 6 still matters even when they reach grade 9. We are going to use a simple example. Imagine that the learner's completed assessment profile represents 100 oranges. You see, this is just an example. KPSEA provides 20 of those oranges and it does not provide all the 100. You see, it just provides the 20. Therefore, KPSEA matters because it counts towards the total. If you remove the 20, you remain with 80. So it matters. A learner who performed very well in KPSEA has already built a very useful foundation. However, the learner must continue working hard in grade 7 and 8 because most of the points are there. And a learner who did not perform as strongly as expected in KPSEA should not lose hope. It doesn't mean that if you did not perform well in KPSEA, you lose hope. No. Why? Because 80% of the combined assessment evidence still comes from KPSEA. You see, KPSEA, it will come from KPSEA and the CBE. So you have your chance in grade 7, 8 and 9 to gather the 80%. Now, poor performance in KPSEA does not mean that the learner's future has already been decided. Please, that is very important for every parent to understand, that no matter the performance that a child gets in KPSEA, their destiny has not been decided. Actually, it will just help you to see the abilities of this learner and you continue looking at them even in JSS. Why? Because the learner still has major opportunity to improve, and at the same time, parents should not say things like KPSEA was only done in grade 6, so it does not matter. Please, it matters because it contributes 20%. So what is the balanced message that I'm trying to say? I'm trying to say that do not panic because of KPSEA, but do not ignore it either. If you have not yet done it, don't ignore it. Now, let us also look at that was KPSEA. So, secondly, let us look at grade 7 and grade 8 SBA, which contributes 20%. Now, remember that SBA means school-based assessments, and the school-based assessment components are from grade 7 and 8. And this component will help show how the learner performed over time while they were learning in their junior school JSS. Now, it is different from judging the learner using only one examination day. So, under competency-based education, CBE, learners may be assessed through different activities, and this may include formal tasks, practical activities, projects, written assessments, and performance tasks. Now, depending on the learning area and the official KNEC instructions, the learners can be tested at different times. Now, the learner completes the assessment at school. Remember, these assessments are done at school. So, who is doing the assessments? The teacher assesses the learners using the provided guidelines. There are guidelines. They don't just assess, there are guidelines on how to do it. And then with that, the school is going to record the results. Then the required scores for each learner are submitted through the appropriate KNEC assessment system. They have a very good system through which the schools and KNEC are communicating. They have a very nice system through which even the schools are able to download the projects. However, parents must understand an important difference. And which difference is this? That not every piece of homework automatically becomes part of the official 20%. And also, not every ordinary school examination automatically becomes part of the official KNEC school-based assessment score. So, a school may give weekly tests, opening examinations, midterm examinations, and even end-of-term examinations for teaching purposes. And those examinations are very important. They help teachers to monitor the learners. But that does not necessarily mean that every one of them is uploaded to KNEC and included in the official 20%. No, the official component comes from the school-based assessments identified and administered according to KNEC requirements. Now, the distinction is very important for every parent to understand. So some people may wrongly add every mark appearing in the learner school report in the learner school report form and claim that they have calculated the SBA. You cannot do that. You see, that may not produce a correct answer. So what should parents do? They should communicate with the school when they need clarification. For example, you can try and ask, has the learner completed the required KNEC school-based assessments? What were the learner's details? You see, what were the learner's maybe performance results? Or you can ask the teachers to let you know when such assessments are being done. Now, these are very useful questions when you are trying to calculate the official score and avoid using ordinary report forms. Remember that one of the regulations from KNEC is that every learner registered for KJSEA must have the necessary KPSEA and grade 7 and grade 8 assessment records. So make sure that your child also does not miss their assessments, because if they are to be submitted to KNEC, they might miss out on their points. So now let us answer the question, does SBA matter? SBA matters because it rewards consistent participation. It considers learners, and two types of learners are considered here. This is why SBA is important. First, it will consider a learner who study only when the examination is approaching. That learner is considered. But also the learner who attends lessons, completes the required assessments, participates in practical work, makes steady effort throughout junior school. That learner is also considered and their effort is rewarded. So the SBA component helps to ensure that the learner's work before the final grade 9 assessment is not completely ignored. What they have been doing in grade 7 and 8 is not ignored. That effort is rewarded. So you still need to remember that that portion is only 20% of the SBA. It's a lot and it matters, but it is important to remember that KJSEA has the greatest weight because it has 60. And that is why we are going to talk about part 3, KJSEA's contribution. KJSEA means Kenya Junior School Education Assessment, and learners complete KJSEA at the end of grade 9, that is before progressing to grade 10, which is the senior school. So KJSEA carries the largest weight and it contributes 60% of the learner's combined assessment profile. Therefore, it means that it has the greatest influence among the 3 components. But remember what we explained earlier, that KPSEA also matter and SBA matter, because KJSEA is not simply about adding 9 subject points. It helps to ensure that, you see, and calling it the final results. The learner receives performance information in the different learning areas. Now, KNEC then uses the assessment information to show the learner's strength in relation to the senior school pathways. So this is where the performance come in, or this is where the performance help. It will help to see the strengths of the learner in STEM, in social sciences, and in arts and sports science. So therefore, KJSEA does more than just show whether the learner generally performed highly or poorly. You see, it helps show the areas in which the learner has the strongest ability in. For example, one learner may show greater strength in mathematics, integrated science, and technical areas, and that pattern may support a strong STEM profile. And another learner may demonstrate greater strength in languages, humanities, and related learning areas, you see, and that pattern may support social sciences. And again, another learner may demonstrate stronger ability in creative, artistic, and sports areas, you see, and that means that the learner has a strong ability in arts and sports science pathway. So the purpose is not just to ask how many marks did the learner receive. It is to ask which pathway appears to match the learner's demonstrated strengths. You see? So KJSEA, the performance of KJSEA helps very much to answer that question. The Ministry of Education has stated that performance, pathway choices, and other placement considerations are all used when allocating senior school spaces. Now, a very important question also that we need to address, where do the grade 9 KNEC projects belong? Remember, we have the projects done. during second term or earlier for some of the grades. Now, this is where many learners and parents become confused. They ask, if grade 7 and grade 8 SBA contributes 20%, where will the grade 9 NEC projects go? Now, I'm going to explain that grade 9 NEC project should not be confused with the grade 7 and the grade 8 SBA component. The grade 9 project are administered as part of KJSEA. That is the answer. They are part of KJSEA. Next of few KJSEA project documents identify grade 9 project areas as we have the areas, we have creative arts, we also have pre-technical studies, and we have agriculture projects. Now, we also have home science, we have agriculture and home science, the two are there. Now, these projects are in the KJSEA assessment papers. So, the school administers these projects according to instructions given by NEC, and then the teacher will assess the required stages, and then the scores will be uploaded to the NEC CBE portal. So, the results are just uploaded to NEC. Therefore, when we say KJSEA contributes 60%, we should not think only about the written papers completed at the end of the year. KJSEA may include the required written assessment, projects, practical components, or even performance activities provided to the relevant learning areas. That is why it is very important to take your grade 9 projects seriously, because they contribute to your 60% in KJSEA. The projects, I will say that the projects are important because their purpose is to assess the learner's own competence, and next grade 9 project guidelines require the school to administer the project and upload the candidates results to NEC. You see, so the projects are going to help determine the competence of this learner, that although they have been learning, can they be able to apply what they have been learning practically? That is what the projects are about. So for now, remember that this is what we have talked about, that grade 7 and grade 8 official SBA contributes 20%, and then NEC projects form part of the grade 9 KJSEA assessment. Do not mix the two. The projects are not part of the SBAs. Now, I want us to use an imagery example to help us understand the weighting of the KPSEA, CBEs, and the KJSEA. Now, this is not the exact NEC calculation, but it is an example. It is an example based on the 60-20-20 rule. So, we are going to take examples of real performance. Now, suppose there is someone called Amina, and Amina has let us assume that Amina has already done all the 3 exams, and she got 70% in KPSEA, and then she got 80% in CBE, and then she got 75% in KJSEA. You see? So, we are not simply going to take the 70 and then 80 and 75 and add and divide by 3. That will be wrong. It will be wrong because the 3 components do not carry equal weight. So, what are we going to do? This is what we do. Remember that KPSEA carries 20%. Therefore, we are going to calculate 20% of 70, because if she has 70% in KPSEA, we want to see how many points are going to contribute. So, we are going to take 20% of that 70, and 20% of 70 will give us 14. It will give us 14. Then, the next grade 7 and grade 8 assessments will also contribute 20%. So, we are going to take 80% multiplied by 20%, and that gives us 16. So, we have 14 and we have 16. Then, thirdly, the student has 75 in KJSEA, 75%. So, we are going to take 60% multiplied by 75, and that will give you 45. We will then add the 3 weighted contributions. Now, take 14 plus 16 plus 45, and that will give us 75. Therefore, in our imagery, in the case of Amina, her combined result will be 75 out of 100. Again, this is only a classroom example that will help you to understand the percentages. That is how they are calculated, and it is an example. So, what does that mean? That means that do not take the learners' report forms and then perform this calculation. It is performed by KNEC. So once KNEC processes the learners' official assessment records, they are going to produce the learners' official performance profile, and our calculation shows how KJSEA, KPSEA, and SBA are going to be used to assess the learner or to give us the overall points, the average points. Therefore, this is the simple lesson that we get to learn. Do not depend on one component. Do not give up also because of one component, because every stage matters. So if you are at the verge of taking your KPSEA, do not ignore it, because remember it will contribute. And then again, if you have already taken your KPSEA, do not give up, because you still have a lot of opportunities to do better. So you see, one may ask, can a strong KJSEA performance cover weak KPSEA performance? Now, this is one of the questions that many parents can ask, and the answer is that strong KJSEA performance can improve the learner's combined assessment profile significantly because KJSEA carries 60%. So it can help improve a lot. However, it does not completely delete KPSEA result. So do not say that KPSEA does not matter. It matters. But even if the performance was not perfect, there is still a lot of chances to improve in SBA and also in KPSEA. There is still a lot of opportunity to improve in KPSEA and also in SBA assessments. So now that we have understood about the points, does a high combined results guarantee C1 school? Remember that the answer is no. This is another important misunderstanding. The combined assessment information is important, but placement does not depend on performance alone. Remember that in the CBE, placement system may also consider things like pathway chosen by the learner, the subject combination selected, the senior school selected, and whether those schools do offer the selected subject combinations. Then they can also consider the number of spaces available, you see, because schools have limited spaces. Also the level of competition for that school, because if everyone wants to join the school, then they will end up choosing the best. They also consider things like gender in relation to the school type, and also accommodation choice, such as day schools and boarding schools. So equity considerations are also made, equality is needed and special needs where applicable. So there are so many considerations to make before KNEC can determine this school, this learner will be placed here, this one will be placed here. You see, suppose a learner performs strongly but selects one or two highly competitive C1 schools. Remember that thousands of other high-performing learners may also select those schools. So the schools have limited spaces and not every applicant can be admitted. Another learner may perform well but select a subject combination that the preferred school does not offer. Now that learner may need to be placed in a different school that provides the selected combination. Therefore, the 2020-60 assessment profile does not operate alone. The ministry has explained that its automated placement system considers learners' choices, their performance, and also other factors that are intended to promote merit, equity, and fairness. So there is a lot of fairness when it comes to placement. So do not worry about where you will be placed. Just do your best, choose the best pathway, and then you are going to be placed in the best school of your choice, because you are given, you are supposed to choose 12 schools. Remember, when you are choosing your pathway, your track, and your subject combinations, the 3 subject combinations for which you are choosing 4 schools, and therefore you will have a total of 12 schools, and in that list you are going to be placed in one of them. Now again, remember that the purpose of the assessment profile is to identify performance, ability, and the pathway in which a learner has the best opportunity to grow. So that is why it is important to make all these considerations and to agree and to collaborate with the teachers so that they can help capture the abilities of the learner and also how to help them improve, because their whole learning journey matters a lot. I hope that this video was helpful to you. In the next video, we are going to continue addressing all these issues about KJSEA, subject combinations, and also have lessons to help the learners improve. We'll discuss agriculture, pre-technical studies, creative and arts and sports. There is a lot that we are going to talk about. We'll also explain whether the final product is the only thing that is assessed, and the common mistakes that can cause learners to lose marks. So make sure that you check out our channel for the next video, because we are going to keep posting more. We have a lot of resourceful information, and we do hope that they are helpful to you. Also leave a comment and let me know which other video or which other topic would you love us to address, which will be helpful to you. Thank you so much. Stay blessed and keep learning. Bye.